If you're thinking about commissioning an artwork and not sure how the whole process is like, this video is here to help you. I'll take you through the whole process from start to finish, from finding an artist to actually what to think about once you receive your artwork. I hope this gives you confidence in the whole process and also bring excitement to the fact that you can collaborate on a piece to bring your vision to life. Hi, I'm Miwa Gardner. I'm a watercolor portrait artist, and I've been working with mothers, especially mothers, to create pieces of their child. And I just love the collaboration. It's such a fun process. And then I kind of thought, wait a minute, are there videos out there explaining this process? There are videos explaining from the perspective of an artist, which I also have a video about, but there wasn't a video out there that actually explained it for those who are kind of curious about the whole commissioning process. So here I am to debunk, is that the word, all this process. And also I'll give you what I do, because at the end of the day, I want to promote myself, obviously, as well. But let's go through all the steps. So number one, you go to their website, you scroll through their gallery and just look through their whole photos of the paintings and see if you really like them or not. And maybe there's a couple that might stand out, and I would suggest you save those, like screenshot them and save them, because it'll help to show it to the artist later on in the process. And also, if they do have an Instagram account, Instagram is a lovely place to flip through their profile very easily. You can look at their paintings, what they've done so far, and if anything stands out to you as well. That's a very visual, easy way to look through the artist and see if the paintings resonate with you. I have two key tips for you. So number one is, don't assume that an artist can replicate another artist's style. And I'm saying this because if I were to commission somebody and I didn't know the whole creative process and whatnot, I think it would be very tempting to be like, well, I only have this much amount of money, and this artist seemed to price themselves at this point, and the artist that I really love is right here, and they like commissioning them would cost a lot. So why not ask this person, because this person seems to love this artist and they're doing a very similar work to them. But please don't ever say this. Number one, it's quite disrespectful to the artist. I mean, they might be like very happy the fact that maybe if they are inspired by that other artist, it might make them very happy. But at the same time, once that gets in our head, it's very difficult to unwind it and try to be like, no, the commissioner wants my style, they want me. And it becomes like a very difficult relationship. So try not to mention it, telling them I really like this one, unless they ask you. That's another thing. Okay, and the next one, the second key tip is try to look at the medium that the artist uses. Like I use watercolor. Sometimes I use gouache, but it's mainly watercolor that I use because I just love the fluidity, and I just like painting subtlety in portraits in their expressions of the child. So you might want to kind of look into what medium, because at the end of the day, the medium will pretty much determine what the feel is, like the feel of the painting, as well as how you put up that painting at the end. Because if it's like oil painting, it'll be on canvas, which means that you wouldn't have to frame it. Whereas for watercolor paintings, you would have to glass it and frame it behind glasses. There are some alternatives of painting on these kind of panels, as well as some aqua board. It could come in cradle form as well. So those I don't particularly do unless a commissioner asks me through email, directly contacting me how much they will cost, because those are not the normal process that I go through. But there are ways, if you don't want to get it framed or you don't want to go through that, then there's also alternatives for that. So you might want to consider. Oh dear. Okay. So the point is, check with the artist, or maybe you can even tell from their paintings what they often use as a medium. So yeah, check that. So the next one is contacting the artist. So once you go through all their paintings and you really like them and you're like, I love this artist, I want to commission them, they might be artists that don't accept any commissions. So that would be a bummer as well, but you need to contact them. Some artists have forms that you can contact them for commissions, or you would have to email them if you don't see anything on their website. Depending on what medium they use, you might want to ask them about framing options. 2, certificates of authenticity. What is a certificate of authenticity? It's to prove that this painting is done by me as an artist, and all that information is written on a piece of card or like a paper certifying that it's mine. So if you want that, I can also provide it. Some artists don't, some artists do. So you might want to ask about that if you want that as an extra. Yeah, and then 3, quality of reference photos. So this is quite interesting. Some artists are really expensive because they have the reputation and everything, and they might even be like, hey, for the photo reference, I am going to come to you and take your photo for you. So there are artists like that, like Ali Kavanagh mentions that, and also Anya Devine, who I love, she also has a photographer to come and take a portrait. So I'm not to that level yet, but what I do is to make things simple. I would ask you for a photo reference and we'll go through them all together to see which would work. So you might want to ask your artist about the photo reference, like what happens there, and the payment terms, because some artists require you like 3 different payment installments. If the commission is like, let's say, thousands of dollars, they might accept payments in 3 or 2 installments. So first, maybe half of it before the sketching phase, and then the other half when the painting is 95% complete, then you will be required to make the final payment. So it really depends on the artist. As I mentioned, I do this all front to make it a very smooth process. And then I also have a very clear form submission that you would have to fill out. And this is created for the past years with all the questions that the mothers had, so I don't have to keep on asking. It's there to make the whole process smooth. And also, just to mention, I use only archival artist quality materials just to ensure that they last for a long time. Okay, so number 3, understanding pricing. Now this is a huge one, I bet, because me being an artist, I know how things work. Even as an artist, it comes across quite difficult. Like you're like, how do we price our artwork? I will keep things simple for you so you can understand. I price my artwork based on the size, so you know exactly what to expect. So why do some artists ask, what's your budget? It's not to upsell you, don't worry. It's about tailoring the piece to fit the client's needs, because depending on the size and as well as the details that they want could really differentiate the price of the artwork. So let me give you an example. So obviously this one is much more bigger, this one is smaller, so that would create like a difference in the price, because easily the size is different and it takes more time to work on this piece rather than this piece. But what I would say is that this one was layered with the background color, and I had to do that, and then I had to wait a couple days, and then I had to do another layer, wait a couple days, and then I worked on the piece. And then I also went with a different medium here, which is like gouache. How many hours did I put into these two? They're relatively about the same. So although the sizes are different, with the details that go into it, it could really differentiate like how much they are priced at. So that one, and this is not a commission portrait, but this has a lot of details. If you compare these two with this one has so much detail. So this took me hours and hours to work on. Usually it's about 15 hours to like 20 hours, but this one was over that. So it really depends on the details that you want. So once you give the artist which paintings you like from their gallery, they will be able to calculate the price and give you what it would be like. Whereas for me, I just want to keep things simple, so I've priced it at the average between detailed and less detailed or more simple artworks. I put it at the average price. And if you are interested in getting emails about my future discounts on commissions and my new artworks, I have a mailing list, so stay connected there. I'll have it in the description below. So number 4 is the commission form. This is very important. Like, it's probably the most important bit for the commissioning process that I offer, and I'm sure a lot of artists take this as a very important step as well, because it basically sets the whole backbone of the painting that will come to vision. So it's really important you get all the details correct right here and right then. So my form has evolved through real commissions, making sure nothing gets missed from size preferences to special elements. I've really edited my form and kept it updated whenever I had questions from different moms when they did get stuck through it. So far, I haven't had any questions, which is good. I keep it simple, but with like the really important informations down there. Number 5, the contract. So this sets expectations like payment terms, revision limits, deadlines, and rights to place. It does sound like too official, like formal, but actually this is to help us both as an artist and as well as the commissioner to know what we can expect on both sides. So I find it really important. So if your artist who you're commissioning doesn't give you a contract, maybe nudge them to have it, or at least like set all the details in a message and be like, is this what I can expect? You know, but at the end of the day, the contract that I made is from all the things that I think you as a commissioner and I as an artist have to be on the same page. Number 6, sketch phase. Now, when you look at the preliminary sketches, it looks like a child's painting. You'd be very surprised, but actually in the mind of an artist, we already see like what it would become, and it's a very exciting place to be. And at this stage, it's very crucial that you give a good feedback. And it's very hard to be like, well, it doesn't have the details, so what am I looking at here? We're mainly looking at the composition. If you don't know what composition, I'll have something that explains it. But when you go inside a room, you look at the composition of the room, you'd be like, oh, yeah, things seem to be fitting in the right place. And that's how you know whether it's good or not. We're also looking at the colors. So does the color combinations look right? And if you have anything, speak up at this point. It's really crucial because especially with watercolor, it's very difficult to Control Z, to edit things out, to go back. You know, we can only really add. Once we start, it's difficult to be like, oh, I don't like that. We can't really erase it out. But oil paintings and acrylic painting and digital art is something different. You could go back and work on it again, but I really highly recommend just think of the sketching phase as this is it. This is going to be what the final painting is going to be like. I offer sketch services separately if you need more assurance before committing. And for those hesitant to make a full payment for a portrait, I also offer sketches as a way to visualize what the final piece may look like and to experience the process at a much lower cost. Number 7, painting. So painting happens from here. The artist will get to work and will start their process in making your vision become reality. It's so exciting. You will want to ask yourself how often you want to be updated on the painting process. And once you confirm this, you might want to check in with the artist how often they are willing to update their painting progress. Because at the end of the day, it's a very, 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 very delicate place. Because once we have some kind of, maybe our communication didn't go well, and then somehow the artist felt like, oh, maybe they didn't like that bit. That will control the whole painting process. Like, every small thing that you didn't mean negative could hit the artist in a really bad way, and our artwork wouldn't be the best that we could have made it into. So it's very delicate place. Some artists, I think most of them, would mention that they only update you once at the 95% stage to ask you for the final feedback on the painting, which is, I think, a great way to do it. For me, I just give you the option on the commission request form where you can select what you want as an update. And some commissioners even say they don't want to know any updates and they want it to make it a surprise, complete surprise. Which would then mean that they would only be able to see it once they receive it, and there's no way, if they didn't like a certain thing, there's no way we can really work on it again. So you really have to trust the artist when you do that. At the end, it's all on the artist. If they say, no, I don't provide the painting process, then you have to ask yourself if you're okay with that and if you still want to go ahead with the artist. Shipping and damage policy. So shipping methods vary, but I don't think there's any artist that would not pack their artwork sufficiently because they put so much hours into it, and I don't think they'll be like, oh, I don't care about it getting damaged and ship it. But you would want to ask them about the basics. Would be the artist will package it right so it doesn't get damaged. Number two, they will have a tracking for the shipment and they would have it insured. But I have heard from other artists that actually, even if they insured it, when it got damaged, they didn't get paid for it. So that's like a very gray zone, but there's nothing really we can do about it. And I haven't had like something was not delivered or damaged so far. And then number four, what you will want to know is the contract. You might want to look at the refund damage policy. So one thing I would say is there's no refund for artworks because it's a one-time off thing and we put so much hours into it, we can't really refund it because it's too hard for the artist to do that. But what happens if you lose the painting? What happens if it gets damaged? It's not like what it was. I want you to have the painting. So what I do is I digitize every artwork in a very high resolution format so you can get the art prints. So what that means is that it's not going to have these textures, but it's going to look the same, exactly the same. And it's going to be using inkjets, which are archival, which means it's going to last you a very long time, maybe even more than the paintings that I've created. So I offered that for you and also a 50% refund, but I can't refund the whole thing, you see. So that's one thing. So you might want to contact the artist you're commissioning to see like what happens in case of it gets damaged, it gets lost, like what are they willing to provide you with so you get the painting. So that's one thing. So number 9, framing tips. As I mentioned, watercolor would need to be framed unless they are on panels or like cradle boards, but no water because the water will destroy it unless it's wax and seal. So that's another whole new story. We can always discuss it if you're interested, but they need to be framed. And what often happens with my commissioners is that they would get the commission portraits, but it will stay in that envelope that I send it. I ship it flat, so it's not curled. It would be in there for quite a long time until it actually gets framed often. So what I do is I ship it inside like an archival plastic sleeve to ensure that they don't deteriorate while it's in that archival sleeve. So that's one good thing, and water wouldn't seep into that sleeve that I put it inside. But otherwise, if you're getting a painting that's like oil or acrylic, then you wouldn't have to obviously frame it. I do give you tips of how to frame your artwork that would be inside with the painting. But for some of you who request it, I can offer you like a mock-up of how the painting would look like in different frame colors, or even if you have a wall that's not white, then I can give you a mock-up photos of what it might look like, which will help you, I hope. before getting into tip 10, I want to share with you testimonials of 2 other mothers because I feel like we want to know the story sometimes, what it's like to feel when you get a portrait of your child. I thought it would be cool to share that with you. Miwa has an amazing ability to capture unique expressions and convey emotions through watercolor. She was thorough and patient, taking the time to process our preferences before starting the first draft. The painting is a true gift, and we will treasure it forever. Both my partner and I were very moved by the way Miwa captured our son in the painting. She portrayed his sensitivity and curiosity so beautifully. I trusted her as an artist to make the right decisions, and that was absolutely the right call. It's beautiful. Okay, and final number 10 is actually looking back at the whole 9 tips we said and the top 5 that I would pick from there, so it would be easier for you to consume. So number 1, make sure you love the artist style. That's like top number 1 thing I would do if I were to commission an artist. Number 2, discuss the damage policy, like what happens if it gets completely destroyed and you don't get the painting. What happens then? Just ask that, because I think that's quite important for the person who's paid for it and commissioned it and not getting it. What happens now? So make sure about that. Number 3, commissioning is a collaboration. Although I understand that you're the ultimate customer, this is a collaboration, and I want to keep things positive so I can create the best artwork. So remember to stay positive and almost like motivate the artist, because the more you put in that like really nice energy and motivate them, they're gonna create the best artwork ever. Number 4, the sketch phase is crucial. Give clear feedback. Just think like that's the last stage that you can have an input in. It's that important. And number 5, hang that painting up as soon as possible. Although I don't have any commissioners in the past that was like, oh my god, it got damaged, but it's better to hang them and enjoy them as quickly as possible. So if you want to be the first one to know about discounts or new artworks that I'm offering, or even the behind the scenes, join in my email list. I have the link down below. And I hope this video demystified a lot of the questions that you might have had about the whole commissioning process. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments, and I will hopefully get back to you soon. I also created a video that I talk about like how parenthood inspires my artwork, and I'm sure you would enjoy watching that as well. Okay, till next time, take care. Bye bye.